Hello, my name is Michelle Randall. I'm a professor of accounting at Schoolcraft College. I'm also a proud CPA. I'm here today as part of the Accounting Academy to give you a short introduction on data analytics using pivot tables. So let's get started. First thing is, let's determine what is data analytics. If you were to do a quick search at Investopedia, you'd come up with some of these types of definitions. It's important to note that data analytics is a science of analyzing raw data in order to make conclusions about that information. We can use the data analytics as a tool or a technique to reveal trends in massive amounts of information, and we can use it also to optimize our processes to increase the overall efficiency in our business or system. A little bit of background. So there are three types of data we'll be talking about. Structured data is data that is provided in tabular format like Excel with rows and columns. Structured data is the type of data that accountants spend a lot of time with. Unstructured data is data not provided in tabular format with the intersection of rows and columns. Then we have semi-structured data, data that does not reside in a tabular format with rows and columns, but it does contain specific markers that can be used for search functions. An example of this would be if you tagged your name in a photo. Now that we know the three types of data, let's move on to the four types of analytics we can do on that data. The most common form is descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics would describe what happened. Then there's diagnostic analytics, which answers the question, why it happened. The next type is predictive analytics. And as the name suggests, it predicts what is likely to happen in the future. And then the highest form of analytics is prescriptive analytics. Prescriptive analytics answers the question, what is the best course of action? Okay, so now that you have a little bit of background on what data analytics is, we're going to do a role play activity. In this activity, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of big data and use Excel for analysis. Excel is an accountant's best friend. Accountants use Excel every day. Excel is the most common data analytic tool in the marketplace for a small business. It's intuitive, fast, and easy to use. In this activity, we will use structured data from the accounting department of Just Chillin' Ice Cream to create a pivot table for a descriptive data analysis. So let's demonstrate. We'll start our role play. You're the accountant of Just Chillin'. Your boss knocks on your door and he asks you the following three questions. What's the most popular ice cream flavor we sell? Which flavor generates the most revenue for us? And what's the most popular flavor we sell in the month of January? Well, you want to impress your boss and you say, I got this. I know exactly how I'm going to answer these questions. I'll have it to you later this afternoon. So what process are you going to go through? Well, the first thing is to do data retrieval. I've done this step for you. What I did was I went into the accounting information system and I extracted the data for all the sales invoices generated from January through May. And I exported it to an Excel file. Again, that step's been done for you. The next thing we'll do in our process is I'm going to show you a little bit of data cleanup. Sometimes we need to have our data presented in a different format, or we might need to parse out some of the information from a particular cell so that we can do our pivot tables. After the data cleanup, we're going to build pivot tables to find the answers to our boss's questions. Lastly, we'll just do a little reflection to see what we learned. We have a data set here, again, that was extracted from the accounting information system from the sales orders conducted from January through May. When we look, we have several columns. We have an order number column, an order date, the flavor of ice cream, the state that the order came from, the quantity, the sales price per unit, total sales, and just as a reminder, total sales represents a function of the quantity sold times the sales price per unit. And then the last column is the source of the order. Now, we may not necessarily need all the columns for our questions asked, but that's okay. So now that we've got our data retrieved, let's do a little bit of data cleanup. Recall that our boss wanted to know what was the most popular flavor in the month of January. Well, I want to parse out this order date so that I can find the month that this was sold in. So let's get started. First, I'll insert a column. I'm going to title that column Month of Order. And then I'm going to use an Excel formula. There are plenty of Excel formulas, and I would encourage you to spend some time with Excel to learn the robust nature of the functions that you can use within Excel. So for this particular task, I'm going to use the equals text formula. And when I pull it up, you see that it drops down and shows me the function for text. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to guide me through the information I need. So next I need the value I want to look up. So I want to look up what's in column B, row 2. I'll place the comma. Then it wants me to put in the format text. So the format text is I want it to return back the month. And then I will end quote, hit enter, and it gives me the result of January. Now I want to copy this all the way down. This is some of the things I love about Excel. It makes it pretty easy and fast. I'm just going to highlight that box in green. I'm going to go to the corner. I'm going to double click on it. I get that blackened plus sign. I double click on it, and it copies my formula all the way down to the end. Now I have lots of data in here. There's over 1,000 rows. So since there's this mass amount of data, I'm going to use a pivot table now to start summarizing the data to answer my boss's questions. I can click anywhere in my table. Then I go up to the ribbon under the Insert and select Pivot Table. From there, I will select From Table/Range. A dialog pops up, and Quicken is really smart. It's already identified the range of data that I want to be looking at. I'm going to put this table in a new worksheet, so now all I have to do is click OK. Once I click OK, I get my pivot table and my fields panel over here on the right. So I'm going to select the fields and drop them into my lower panels. So since I want to know information about flavor, I'm going to grab the flavor field and drop it down into the rows. Now I want you to watch what happens to the table on the left hand of the screen. It drops in my flavors. Now I'm going to put in the quantity. I'll drag that field down to values. And notice it's going to sum all of the sales orders related to banana. Now I want to clean this up a little bit, and I like to see my number format with commas. I just think it's a little bit easier to read. So if we want to change our number format for that quantity field, I go down into my field panel, the drop down arrow, value field settings, value fields. We go to number format. We're going to put number, click the comma to use as a separator, hit OK, and hit OK again. And now there we go, I have my comma. So the first question was, what is the most popular ice cream flavor? Now, I only have a few rows here, so it's pretty easy to identify that the answer is vanilla. But imagine if I had lots of rows. One of the things I could do is to go under the row drop-down menu, and I see more sort options. So I'm going to click on more sort options. It pops up a dialog box for me, And I'm just going to select descending. And it's going to ask which field I want to sort. So I want to sort sum of quantity. And I click OK. And now it puts them from the largest to the smallest. And all I have to do is look at the top row. And again, I can tell that vanilla is the correct answer at 8,912 units. Another way I can find my answer to that question pretty quickly is, again, if I go down to the drop down arrow with the rows, I can select the value filters. Under value filters, I'll go to the bottom top 10. It pulls up a dialog box for me. I don't want the top 10, I want the top 1, and I want it based on quantity. So I select OK, and now it narrows it down and just gives me the top flavor. All right, so let's clear those out and move on to our next question. The next question our boss asked us is, which flavor generates the most revenue? Well, revenue relates to total sales price. So I'm going to go back to my fields panel. I'll drag down my total sales into the values column. And now I can see total sales is put into my pivot table. Again, I'm going to do a little bit of a format cleanup here. So I'll select sum of total sales, value field setting, number format. Now, these are dollars, so I want to select currency, and I'll hit OK, and OK, and now my number format has been changed to dollars. So I've cleaned up my data a little bit more. Now I'm going to answer the question, which generates the most revenue? So again, I'm going to go to that sorting option. I'll go under row labels. I'll click the drop-down menu. I'll do more sort options. I'll get my dialog box. I want it to be descending order, but now instead of on quantity, I want it on total sales price. So I'll click OK. And now I can see the answer to question 2 is pecan. All right, we're on to our last question. The last question your boss wanted to know is, what is the most popular flavor in the month of January? So here I want to do some filtering. My current pivot table is summarizing all of the sales orders for all the months, January through May. I want to isolate this just to the month of January. So I'm going to go over to my fields table. I'm going to find the field month of order, and I'm going to drag that down to filters. As you can see, month of order came up on top of my pivot table, and it has all with the drop-down menu. I click on the drop-down menu, and I can see I can select any one of the months. I want to select January. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have the answer to my question. The question was the most popular flavor. So popularity is based on quantity. So the answer is toffee at 1,510 units. So there you go. In a matter of minutes, we were able to answer our boss's questions. Now, before we move on, I want to reflect for a minute. Your boss asked you about popularity and revenue. Notice that you had 2 different answers. Why is that? I'll give you a minute to think about it. Well, if you said sales price, you're absolutely correct. Revenue is a function of the number of units sold, our quantity, times the sales price. Popularity is just the quantity sold. So you could sell a lot of items at a very small sales price per unit and not generate as much revenue as if you sold fewer items at a higher sales price. So you do want to take note about what's the difference between popularity versus revenue. All right. Now I would encourage you to explore more. In the Accounting Academy, we've set up some learning activities for you. First thing you can do is watch a video about big data. After watching the video, you can test your knowledge by taking a quiz. Lastly, try it for yourself. Hands-on demonstration is always the best. Download the data set and my step-by-step instructions on how I created the pivot tables for our demonstration. Then try and find the answer to these questions. What's the least popular ice cream flavor? What flavor generates the least revenue? Which flavor generates the most revenue in Michigan? When you look on the download data set, there is an answer key so that you'll know you're on the right track. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy finding out more about Excel. Thank you again for spending some time with me to learn about data analytics. Just remember, your future awaits. You can scan or click on the QR code below to find more information about accounting programs offered at Schoolcraft College. If you have any questions or would like to learn more, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is available on the slide. Have a wonderful day and keep on learning.